Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer By, episode 281.
Woo! Boo, 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 boo.
I'm Chris, and joining me today are...
Ames.
Caitlin.
Oh, God. Oh, he froze. Oh, no.
Wow.
Jake.
Haven't had one of those in a while. A Jake.
Yeah, yes.
I remember the last time I had a good Jake.
Yo.
Not even sure what that means.
I don't either, but
Fair enough.
I assume that when Ren and Stimpy were talking about going number 3, that they meant a Jake.
We call that a Jacksonville Jake.
What is happening?
I think you know.
I think we should talk about Star Trek.
No. Okay.
Today we will be discussing Drone and Extreme Risk. Extreme! It's the 90s!
Extreme.
Mountain Dew!
For a second,
Kid seat still just $5.
I don't know why, but I sort of half expected you to be like drone and extreme drone. Boo. I don't know why.
First up in Drone, what is it? Oh yeah, so they're puttering around on a shuttle to look at a nebula because it's super, super deadly, and for some reason it would be better to go on a rinky-dink shuttle instead of a big-ass starship for reasons.
You know, gravity or something.
Yeah, radiation, gravity. Really, let's be honest,
What?
it was a flimsy excuse to have a transporter issue, and when they beam everyone back, some of Seven's nanoprobes get mixed in with the EMH's mobile emitter.
Oh, no. He needs that.
Yeah,
Go places.
So that then stabs some guy in the neck, and
Oh,
we
and
get...
it was gruesome.
Mulcahy, who
Yes.
got no lines, but a name.
Yes. And Mulcahy and the probes and the thing make 3VIX, otherwise known as One, a
3VIX.
Borg drone composed of 29th century tech and Mulcahy's DNA, but he's
Hot.
played by a different actor.
Making one sexy baby.
And he's super advanced, but, has the mind of a child. They upload a bunch of data into him, and
He's
You
like,
know,
are you
he's-
my mother, Seven?
pretty much, yeah, he imprints on her like a baby duck.
Aw.
And, things are going okay. Seven, deactivates his little call the Borgaphone, because that would be bad. But it turns itself on, and the Borg show up, and they're like, hey, we want your super advanced babby. And they're all like, fuck off. And he... and he names himself One. So I'm sure the people that wrote One last season were like, fuck, we already used your title.
Whoops. One of one.
Yes, and One of One here beefs up their shields a bit and beefs up their phasers a bit. But then he's like, yeah, this really isn't going well. Despite all that, the Borg reflect their phaser beam back at them. So he's like, fuck this noise. I have internal transporters. Transports over to this Borg sphere that has appeared. Hijacks it. Throws it into the nebula. It goes squish. We're all like, oh no, poor One. But then Harry's like, wait, he's alive. So they beam him aboard, and he's looking rough. And Doc is all, I gotta operate. And One is like, no, I felt their thoughts. They'll just keep coming for me, and eventually they'll, kill you and take me and become super advanced. So I'm not going to let you operate on me. And he dies, and Seven has a sad.
And Doctor has a happy because he can finally get his fucking emitter back.
Yeah,
to get out of his head.
He had to
Poor
dig it
One.
out of his
Yes.
brain.
That's the thing that was sort of, we all kind of were aware of but did not see, was him cutting into One's skull and just reaching in to be like...
Could he transport it out? That'd be
Maybe.
cleaner.
Yeah. I mean, this episode, it's all right, but I have to say, it just, to me, felt like a not as good version of Iborg.
Is that the one with Hugh?
That's one with Hugh.
Yeah, it was definitely not as good as Hugh.
And it had a lot of the same beats, the whole, Borg man tries to be people thing, and it just felt like I was like halfway through the episode, I'm like, oh, isn't there a point where he's trying to like decide a name and he wants to take Tuvok's name, and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's the other episode, because he was walking down the hall with Tuvok.
It also felt like there were some similar beats to that time Julian tried to or Odo or whoever tried to raise the Jem'Hadar and tried to teach it to go against its nature.
Yeah, I also thought of that one too. Yeah, it just seems like this episode's not bad, but it's trodden ground that's been trotted upon multiple times.
Trodden.
Yeah.
And better.
Modern televisions are not kind to his suit.
I liked his suit. What didn't you like about his suit?
The design is good, but it just looks like there's some very rough edges, and not in that like Borg way, in the mold was rushed kind of way.
But it's future Borg tech, so it's supposed to look like that.
Is it?
Apparently.
I mean, it definitely looks more semi-organic.
I like that it glowed. That's what I'll say. I like his glowy bits.
His Tron bars. Yeah.
I thought it was weird that when the Voyager shot at the Borg with their phaser beams, and they were like, whatever you say, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever bounces off me ruins your hull. I thought that was pretty weird for the Borg.
Yeah,
it's a little more playful than I'm used to the Borg being,
Well, because normally they can just be like puny weapons. We don't even have to worry about it. But because one had jacked them up, they were like, oh, we actually have to kind of try this time.
Because we really want that future tech.
Yep. Which let's be honest, doesn't make a ton of sense.
What doesn't?
I get that the mobile emitter is tech from the future, but it's just a mobile emitter. It somehow then extrapolates all this up. It would be like if you assimilated a blender and then were able to make an entire kitchen based on a blender.
The thing is, nanoprobes are basically magic. They can do whatever you want. So it's the nanoprobes reading into it and finding ways to use whatever the tech is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just got a really good, long-lasting battery. Maybe that's the tech that it took.
Maybe Mulcahy was just that cool.
Maybe.
Well, he was a descendant of Father Mulcahy from MASH, so he probably had a few tricks up his sleeve.
That is the only other place I've heard that name, so I definitely had similar MASH thoughts. And of course, in what was it? The movie, Rene Auberjonois was Mulcahy.
There you go.
Perfect. So he's also
figured out the connection. Yeah.
Does that mean we can watch MASH as a Star Trek?
No, we've discussed this.
Oh.
It comes up every goddamn time.
Every time?
Every time.
Okay, well, if we can't do regular MASH, can we at least do the Monster MASH?
God damn it.
The problem is this is coming out in November, so...
Whatever, better late than never.
Yeah, so in comparing Drone to iBorg and all the similar kind of beats, it's also easy to compare one to Hugh. And they're kind of like a very similar story of self-sacrifice and learning humanity and all this thing. And I just want to give lots and lots of props because it's actually very entertaining watching J. Paul Boehmer in this role, especially because we've seen him before, which is quite hilarious.
Yeah.
For those who don't recognize him, he was that Nazi commander in The Killing Game.
And apparently he was a Cardassian at some point in DS9.
And as I said then, and probably maybe, it's really not a stretch to go from playing a Nazi to playing a Borg or a Cardassian, because they are both genocidal psycho assholes.
Well,
so what you're saying is this guy just exudes Nazi vibes?
It seems like he must, because he keeps getting cast as Nazis.
I was about to say that, well, we will eventually see him as a Vulcan, but oh wait.
Oh wait, what?
They
Vulcans love Nazis.
They're just in the Nazis fan club.
I was like, wait, they're not Nazis, but then I was like, oh yeah, Mr. Spock does love a Nazi, though. I mean, just for their efficiency, I'm sure.
But yeah, sorry, Ames, so it's the performance of, what was it, Boehmer?
Yeah, Boehmer, because I think he's quite good in this. I think he's a cutie pie, because I also remember he's a big Trekkie, which is very cute, and he gets to be a Borg, which is the ultimate in Trekkie fantasies.
Yeah, that's I feel like it's for a lot of people, be that or Klingon would be their first choice.
Which do you think you have to be in the chair for longer?
Oh, I
Borg.
think this was this seemed like a lot because they had to
'Cause
do
there's-
like body cast and
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, Klingon, they'll just find a costume that you'll fit into well enough, and they just do the head and maybe hands, but yeah, for a Borg, it's a whole... Especially this one, like, this is a main Borg. He's in the whole episode. There's a lot of close-ups. I'm sure, like, with background Borg, you don't see that well. They, like, just kind of throw some Lycra on them and glue on some old bits they have lying around. It's like, look, it's not going to look great up close, but we're never going to see you up close, so it's fine. This was probably, like, a full, proper fucking, But yeah, I thought he did a good job being kind of like, I'm a grown-ass adult, but I'm also kind of a kid without it going into, like, a goofy, obnoxious realm. Like, he walked weird for a little bit. Like, he was still getting used to it.
He was, like, very dick forward at that point, which made me upset. But aside from that...
I loved it.
Of course you did.
It's like, yes, aim that cod piece this way.
Of course, it was fucking huge. I mean, it'd be difficult not to aim it that way, because it's just a fucking enormous godpiece. I was like, sir, wow.
The Borg really are that advanced.
The 29th century is really way ahead. That's good.
Well, it got its, part of its physical description from 7 of 9's nanoprobe. So it's like, oh, I have to make everything extra large.
Oh, God.
Alternately, Mulcahy might have just been huge.
That's also possible.
I don't know. No, Mulcahy? I don't know.
That's why he has no lines. He's so exhausted from hauling around his hog that he just can't speak.
Wow. He can't get the energy to say a fucking line.
Yeah, if he tries to talk, all the blood rushes to his head and he just passes out.
It did seem funny. Like, I feel like the one thing I would have done differently is I would have had Mulcahy and one be the same actor.
I
Yeah,
thought
that would make
too.
more sense.
I bet they didn't
Like-
want to pay him or something.
But yeah, maybe. But
Well, once
Well, we
they
never
learned
saw
that he fucking
Mulcahy
couldn't
again
read
after.
lines.
Yeah, we never saw Mulcahy again after 1 came about. So I don't
so
see why.
they never shared scenes, so there was no issue of like, we'll have to do weird split screen shit. I guess they really wanted to emphasize that it was like a combination of factors. And
What a
having
fucking deadbeat dad Mulcahy is, Kid shows up and he's gone. He peaced out.
He
He
transported
never
himself
asked. He never
directly
asked to
into
be a
the nebula.
father.
worst father since Worf.
7 of 9's like, oh, he got my skin, and Mulcahy's like, oh, he's got my cock, and then the doctor's like, he's got my fucking mobile emitter.
That's good. Yeah, Doc is also kind of funny this episode. The first we see, he's like a new student of photography all of a sudden. Like, that's still a fucking thing. And he says, everybody gather together for a group shot in front of the nebula as we're slowly exploding.
I love how huge the camera is. It's ridiculous.
It's also fucking unnecessary and absurd because we saw back in like Mortal Coil, they have something already like doing a hollow recording whenever you go out somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Because remember we got to see Neelix die several times.
Yeah, But see, now
but
he can.
There's surveillance cameras in every ATM, and people still take photos. So
Take photos of themselves at an ATM.
I love
I'm
doing
sure
that.
someone
Don't
has.
you?
I take
Weird.
photos of other people at ATMs. It's really fun. They react amazingly.
So well. See, the thing is, all I could think of the whole time was there's that, not running gag, like it only comes up a handful of times, but there is a semi, I guess, running gag in Futurama where something absurd happens, Bender whips out a camera, goes, neat, and takes a photo.
Right.
So all I could think of was Bender.
Even though sometimes he just uses his head as a camera.
Yes, but that's Futurama. It's supposed to be ridiculous.
But I also feel like the Doctor should be able to use his head as a camera.
Well,
because
yes,
he's
but-
just whatever he is.
I mean, again, this is our running commentary with this show, is you aren't utilizing your holographic Doctor properly.
I mean, also, though, he could just be wanting to do, have a
he's-
human experience. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's an artistic kind of dude, too.
Yeah.
He likes his opera.
Yeah, I mean, you can, he has to actively frame this shot versus, anyone can take the hollow recording and move it around and futz with it. It's like, no, I I have to make some active decisions in the moment that I cannot undo.
Yes,
And
I
who knows,
refuse
maybe
to
it's-
smile for your photo, Doc.
Maybe it's higher res.
Heh.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that this opens with Seven practicing smiling.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
cute.
Which I thought was cute. Yeah.
And then she has a sad in the mirror at the end.
Yeah,
Oh
practicing
yeah, that was
crowding.
the other thing.
Oh.
That actually annoyed me.
What?
When the EMH just kind of strolls in and she's like, announce yourself. It's like, yeah, it is her room. I mean, I know it's also a cargo bay, but it's mostly her room now. You should have
You would
knocked.
think that they could just install those Borg chambers in,
Actual
a regular,
quarters?
an actual room,
They're heavy,
so that she
dude.
could
You wanna
have
move
proper
that
quarters.
shit?
Yeah, you'd think. Or
And
again,
she could
just
probably build a new one.
it probably wouldn't be that hard to just make it so that door works like a quarters door where people can't just stroll in.
Well, we've also, but it's still being used as an active cargo bay as well. Like there was that
Yeah.
scene where like Neelix was looking for his
That's right.
his thermos or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
meanwhile,
like,
Seven's trying to take a nap.
yeah.
I mean, I imagine when she is plugged in, she's probably pretty cut off. Like, there's probably
Zonked.
there's probably sensors that can wake her if something goes awry, if someone gets too close or points a gun at her or something. But otherwise,
Well,
she's probably
In this episode, she woke up because she detected one coming online.
yeah. It set off her proximity alarm.
Mm.
She's basically a Roomba.
I don't know. Our Roomba runs into shit all the time.
Well, she's a 24th century Roomba. That's the secret origin of the Borg, an internet-enabled Roomba. It's not anything else anyone has ever theorized. It wasn't, some distant alien world. It wasn't that comic that suggested Bones accidentally invented them. A Roomba goes sentient.
Oh yeah,
That's why they just
already
wanna-
bound to happen. Like already, Roombas are on the internet, so
See? And that's why they assimilate. Their simple command of suck everything up to clean, somehow, they crashed into an alien
into
probe and it
Tenru.
becomes...
Oh no!
See? A Roomba, a space Roomba.
Jim Kirk.
Has somebody
Roy
made a hentai of a
Yes.
Roomba?
Probably.
Almost.
Wow.
Rule 34, old boy.
Yeah.
Old boy. It's Rule 34, old sport.
I mean, to be
gonna
fair,
be
that's also a joke in Arrested Development. I'm more machine than man.
Is that,
Buster.
Job? Buster,
No.
I mean, yeah. Job is the magician played by Will Arnett.
Yes.
Right? Right, yeah. Buster's the one that winds up with a hook hand.
Yes. Played by Tony
What?
Hale.
Buster gets a hook
Oh.
hand?
My
Yes.
God.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know, to be honest. I just know
He
he does.
loses his hand.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
yes,
but
I won't
I
spoil
know.
how. You should watch the show. It's an amazing
Yep.
show.
For all of your viewing pleasure, it's not. It's safe for work, but
He'd make a good EMH mark later.
Oh, that'd be great.
Tony Hale.
I adore Tony Hale.
Great. This is now in my history. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Oh god, Jake is sending us links of robot fucking.
I was expecting far worse.
yeah, it's not too bad.
She's at least mostly clothed.
Oh, I like that the Roomba's in a little maid's outfit. That's very cute.
We're not dressing up the Roomba.
Why not? Can you give him like a little nomad antenna?
Wouldn't it get hit when you tried to go under stuff?
That's
though?
true. He wouldn't go do well going under the table.
Mm.
Oh God, yeah. But searching for Roomba Rule 34 is a much
Oh Christ.
different result.
Oh no. Don't
So anyway,
do it.
this episode, this has been
This
a weird
episode.
tangent of Roombas and Arrested Development.
Neat.
Oh,
another weird thing the Doctor does. The Doctor and kind of B'Elanna do, because I give B'Elanna as much credit in this stupid thing as well. She's napping, and the Doctor's been been waiting for her to work on his mobile emitter, and he wakes her up while she's sleeping because his video screen is pointed right at the bed. No!
Yeah.
Point that elsewhere, Torres. Pick
And
it up
also-
and move it.
Why is there a screen in the toilet?
Good question.
I believe, Caitlin, you put it best.
Told you never to call me on this wall.
I mean, people do have medical distress in the bathroom. You might want to
That's
call the
true.
doctor, but you have a communicator. God damn it!
But also, That one, if you have to have one there, it should be outgoing only.
Yeah.
Like, people shouldn't be able to just ring you up on your toilet wall. Because that is, no, you know? That ain't... And it's one of those things that was obviously done for the sake of a, in the world's biggest scare quotes, joke.
Yeah, not a good one.
Well, again, it was already done better by Spaceballs.
Yeah.
And Spaceballs is a world that's supposed to be ridiculous. This world is supposed to be semi-real. So it's like, no, this is bad.
Yeah, the Doctor clearly has some issues with boundaries, though.
Yeah.
Between that and walking in on 7, and
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 has a great line. I think it's with the Doctor. He comes in and says, "Good morning," and she says, "That remains to be seen." And I want to start using that when people say good morning to me.
That was Chakotay that she said that to, wasn't it?
Okay, even better.
Yeah.
It was a great response, and I loved it.
Was that this episode? Or?
It was this episode.
It was when she detected the Borg signal.
Ah, that's right. Oh, yeah, this also had, apparently, Kim is in charge during, like, the graveyard shift sometimes.
He wasn't actually in charge, he just sits in the chair to feel... But notice that he didn't sit in the captain's chair, he sat in Chakotay's chair, so even he didn't have the balls to sit where Janeway goes.
I bet Chakotay's chair has those little massaging nobules in the back.
Well, they both do, but Janeway's are set at a level that just hurts Harry, so he uses Chakotay's.
Yes, accurate.
She's made of sturdier stuff.
Chakotay's chair has a built-in toilet.
Why? Jake.
You don't want to leave the bridge during a crisis situation.
No, look, if anything, it has a built-in tub.
Okay, there it is.
He pushes a button, the leather drops away, and he plunks in. He's just like, tub. I want to try to do it like Zap Brannigan's Velour, but the word tub is too short to kind of give it that.
But wow. Nope.
that was a little more Homer Simpson going for a donut.
I thought it was like brains.
They cut his hair, which makes me sad. I miss his floppy 90s hair.
Whose hair?
Garrett Wang's.
I like it, because I thought it was like very
you meant
slicky.
Homer.
Yeah, it just looks a bit more like Chakotay's now.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I think it suits Garrett Wang, and he's an attractive fellow.
Oh, it suits him, but I already missed the old haircut.
Another very strange line. This one definitely from the Doctor. So, 7 realizes something's going on. Borg on board, all that thing. And they say, "Quick to the science lab!" And the Doctor, in a very dumb delivery, in a line that was emphatically unnecessary, says, "The science lab. My mobile emitter's in there." And I wrote, "Why?" Because
the writers didn't trust the audience.
I don't know.
I kind of bought it.
I kind of bought it in the Doctor, like in the Doctor's personality, that like that would be the thing that he'd be worried about.
Well, yes, but why would he say it out loud alone in the?
Yes, that was strictly for the audience's benefit.
If it was to somebody saying, "Oh no, if there is a Borg on board and the Borg is in the science lab, my mobile emitter could be getting in the hands of Borg." Like the train of thought would make sense if he were talking to a person.
What I thought too was like, the science lab. This whole ship has one. I know it's not big, but it's a Starfleet scout vessel. It should have at least 2.
Well, they have astrometrics now.
Yeah.
Which is a nice lab.
That's just the generic science.
Yeah.
Anytime we need science done, well, is it chemistry or is it biology? What's going on?
It's TV science. All science is science.
That's right.
And a scientist knows all science ever scienced and ever will be scienced.
Batman's a scientist.
Yikes.
True.
And that one has Nimoy. It all comes back.
Yep, there you go. Yeah. So we've now got confirmation that the baby Borg that we saw in the first time we met the Borg was kidnapped, not born.
Yep.
Yeah.
They actually assimilated an infant.
And they apparently do it all the time.
Yeah. Like they have the maturation chamber, so it's a...
I got to imagine they like, even though they've already, started giving it little, it's got its little hat and whatever else that we see in that episode, they must wait a while to actually connect them to the hive mind, because otherwise, like, I feel like it would kind of fuck things up. You know, they're like, we gotta assimilate, but I want to watch Cars too.
Sad. Sad face. You tried.
I did.
What did y'all think of 7 this episode?
I don't know.
Thought Jerry Ryan did well.
Well, you can say that any episode.
That's true.
See, I particularly really liked it whenever, like, the couple early instances when she was talking with one, when he was still like, give me more info. I want to eat it up with my nom-nom mouth. Nom-nom.
Yeah.
And she gets all Borg in the same way that in iBorg, Picard got all Locutus in Hugh's face.
Oh, yeah.
7 gets all 7 in one's face. To say, like, that is, resistance is futile. You will comply. You will comply, young man. Go to your room.
Well, you know, she knows what he'll respond to, because he's still mostly Borg programming. Now, the question is, would she just try that on a human, purely human child? Was she babysitting? Who knows? Oh, God, we're probably going to find out. I bet that's an episode with Naomi Wildman.
We'll see. I don't remember.
Boy.
Neither do I, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I always love when 7 goes full Borg, and it's a whole lot of fun.
I appreciate that, you know, she had an obvious attachment to one for obvious reasons, but they didn't lean too heavily on any, like...
Mommy
they
stuff?
They leaned too heavy... Yeah.
Yeah, I think the doctor said, go ask your mother. Like, made like a mother joke once, but it was like just a little light button at the end of a scene kind of a thing, instead of just, so 7, what does it feel like to have another Borg on board?
Yeah, like, I think they handled it pretty well. They didn't over-egg anything.
Yeah. And I liked the rapport an awful lot. Mm-hmm. And I liked watching, one's progression and his little sacrifice. It got resolved a little easily for me. It felt like, I don't know where I would have, like, taken more time. Maybe make it a 2-parter. Because this one, maybe could have room to have J. Paul Boehmer around for another episode. We like him. But it just felt like, maybe. Oh, and then he self-destructs. That's it. Bye.
Well, that's the thing, too. It's like, once they establish that the emitter is, like, integrated into his brain and is running his autonomous functions, you're just like, oh, yeah, no, he's gonna die. Like, obviously, they weren't gonna keep him around, but it was like, otherwise you could be like, maybe they'll find a way to, like, do something. Leave him somewhere where he can have a life, but not on the ship. But it was just like, oh, yeah, no, he's gonna die somehow.
Yeah, we are not putting Picardo back in only the sickbay again after we let him have some freedom for a season.
And we're not going to have, pay a new regular and put him in that outfit every week.
Oh, true. That is a lot of work.
Interesting sort of juxtaposition from, sort of the middle and the end where when they first switch him on and he's just basically a drone. And he's grabbing 7 and she's like, you're hurting me. And then later he's dying and you're hurting me, but emotionally.
Oh, that was cute.
I thought her delivery was very good on the second one. I mean, it's fine on the first, but you know what I mean, though.
Yeah. I also really liked her Voyager is my collective line when I think one asks her, wouldn't you want to join the Borg Collective again? She says, no, I've got one. It's right here. It's got Chakotay apparently in it.
That was a little cheesy, but she's talking to a child.
I liked it.
Would have been interesting. Again, I know it wasn't really the focus and we didn't have time, but, to sort of explore a little the effect of having brushed with the Borg again on her. Like, you feel like this is, if you want to treat her like an addict in recovery, like, she's kind of gotten close to the source again, but she rejects it pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's like she went to a party at a bar and said, I'll have a seltzer.
Yeah. I'm sure maybe, again, I don't know. We're really where I started to kind of taper off. If they might eventually do something with that.
I'm going to say probably not. Because they really don't bother making this serial at all.
No, I know, but I just mean because I know they're going to run to the Borg more. Like, they might use it
fair.
In an episode without necessarily referencing this one in any capacity.
Do you guys want to hear the original pitch? I know this is one of our favorite games.
Oh boy!
Oh god!
Do it.
Guess which character is involved instead of 7.
7 gets ripped in half, and like a worm, her torso grows new legs. The legs grow a new torso.
I would watch that episode.
Go on, though.
And then it just becomes the enemy within. I'm 7! No, the original pitch, here we go. It involved Tom crash landing on some planet and getting horribly injured to the point that his arm is just kind of like dangling off by a flap.
What writer wanted to mutilate the actors so badly?
Really badly.
What the fuck?
And like it's on a planet with some people who are like really like technologically advanced somehow, and they use some kind of technological ingenuity to reattach his arm. And then I don't know where it went from there, because they said no, let's not rip Tom's arm off, please.
Did it turn into that terrible movie where like the guy winds up like with a hand transplant, but it's a criminal's hand and it starts to commit crimes against his will?
I don't know. It didn't say anything past that.
Jesus.
What movie is that? Is that Idle Hands?
I think so, yeah.
Was it like Devon Sawa and like
I do
Seth
not
Green?
remember anything beyond the basic premise. That is awful, and I hate it.
Poor Tom.
This was a better idea.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
this is a
if he
great
had
idea.
familiar.
Maybe if he had fewer arms, he'd be less of a jack-off. Eh?
Oh, no, you only need one. That's bad. I hate that. Don't like that at all.
Yeah, I think the last note that I made was Janeway, the whole episode long, is very for letting one continue to be around instead of destroying it when it's in its little fetus jar thing.
Well,
Which is
you know,
horribly disgusting.
She was really hoping that she'd have an excuse to blow the ship up.
I thought it was her like making up for killing Tuvix by not killing this thing.
I said something to her. It's like, wait a minute. Last time there was a transporter accident, you couldn't wait to murder it. Now you're like, super advanced Borg. Let's let it live.
What could possibly go wrong?
Maybe he can give you some shiny new tech to try to put into a probe.
Oh, is that what happens in an Extreme Risk?
I thought so. Isn't that what they did? Wasn't that the deal with the probe?
I didn't understand the probe. Let's figure it out as we go along.
Yeah. So in Extreme Risk, the Voyager has launched a probe which had some kind of they said something about crazy shielding that I think was one's. I had been working under the assumption that they'd given it like some of the modifications he'd programmed into Voyager.
Okay, I didn't get any of that, but it makes sense.
To see if they could, like, actually utilize them long-term without him being around. Either way, this probe seemed to be a test bed for something. Whether or not it was from one or, I don't know, B'Elanna or Vorik or whatever. Either way, there's something up with this probe. And some new Malons with a farty ship show up. This one led by Vrelk. And they try to steal it. And, the Voyager's too far away to actually get there in time, but they still have a remote connection to it. So they have it break away from the Malon and plunge itself into an atmosphere of a gas giant, which will buy them time to get there and try to recover it somehow. Meanwhile, B'Elanna's playing video games with the safeties off. Not sure why that's an option.
Right.
And she's distant and not argumentative, which is a problem with her. That's a sign that something wrong with her, unlike, most people the other way around. And this sort of is vaguely intertwined with the other plot, which is why I'm kind of describing them together like this, is, they get to the gas giant and they're like, it's too far down for us to get to with a normal shuttle. And hey, last episode, they actually seeded this idea of maybe we should have a better shuttle. And Tom's like, well, guess what, bitches? I'm a pilot, but I'm apparently also an engineer?
He built He built a race car in the holodeck once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an old Chevy or something.
There was a I can't remember how she mispronounced the name, so I can't remember the name. Anyway, so he's built himself a space hot rod, the Delta Flyer. And they, now there's a space race going on because they realize the Malon are also building a little high pressure shuttle to try to get this thing. So they're working on the shuttle. Tom puts knobs and buttons in, so only he'll be able to fly it, because no one else will know what the fucking knobs and buttons do. Jackwit.
I was getting sick of all the pushing on panels, whatever the fuck.
I mean,
Get outta here,
I
Tom.
get it, but again, you're making it so that only you can fly this thing. Anyway, and yeah, so B'Elanna is continuing to play video games and hurt herself, and When she runs a simulation to see if the micro fissures in the flyer could be an issue, she turns off the safeties again. Something kerplodes, she hits her noodle. Doc examines her and is like, she's fine, but she's got a lot of injuries. And some of them are quite old, something's up, and Janeway confines her to quarters. And then there's a really uncomfortable scene where Chakotay manhandles her into a holodeck to watch all of her friends die. And basically it turns out knowing that all of her friends died gave B'Elanna depression.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. So she's been like trying to feel things and all that. And then she's like, let me go on this mission. I'm not just trying to get hurt. I want to do my job. They go on the mission. And
the first thing she does is jump off a cliff. What the fuck, B'Elanna?
And they rescue the probe, and B'Elanna jury rigs a force field with a phaser and some hoodly doodlies.
With honors.
She's already all better because that's how psychology works in Star Trek.
Yeah,
how B'Elanna got her groove back.
She was cured by pancakes. Is that what happened? Something like that.
Yeah, banana pancakes.
Well, no, the pancakes were the sign that she'd been cured because they made her crack a smile this time, unlike the last time.
Well, it's because she made them. Fucking Neelix. You know how Neelix does.
Well, he'd replicated them last time too.
Well, I know, but you know how he fucks with shit. He probably anytime that he asks for something from the replicator, he's probably like, and if you could just give it just a little bit of that Neelix charm, that'd be great. So it wasn't bananas, it was like fucking
Leola
some
root.
Kind of disgusting
bananas,
root.
but he made it with like garlic or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Banana and onion pancakes.
Oh, that sounds fucking absolutely vile.
I feel like that's something some fucking hipster diner would try.
Yeah,
well, they certainly will
menu.
now, since I'm sure they're listening to this podcast.
So I will say,
with hipsters,
for all that this is, again, Trek doing psych stuff and
tying it up very neatly.
In some respects, it's one of the better jobs they've done. Some, what struck me was when she said, she knew something was wrong because she was feeling nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it reminded me of a story of, the actor Hugh Laurie saying when he realized he probably needed to get some help was that he was, it relates. He was in a celebrity demolition derby, which is apparently a thing.
Jesus Christ, that sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. But he said, and he knew something was wrong because he didn't feel, he wasn't exhilarated, but he also wasn't afraid. He said, I was mostly bored. It's like, you're in cars crashing into each other, and you're bored. He was like, I should see someone.
Mm.
So the idea that, she's like, I'm feeling nothing ever with, it's not even that, which is, because I feel like too often it's like depression is just always, you're sad.
Right.
And that's not always the case. I thought it was, they were like, yeah, no, sometimes you just don't feel things, or you don't feel them as strongly as you should.
Well, certainly when I realized I had depression, it was because I wasn't finding excitement in things that I used to love.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
And the fact that she sort of responds by pursuing, extreme sports in the holodeck kind of makes sense. Again, it's something that it would have been better if this had been seeded. This is something we've been dealing with for a while. It doesn't come out of nowhere in this episode. I suppose their excuse could be we barely saw her towards the end of last season because of her pregnancy anyway, so maybe this was quietly happening in the background.
Yeah, all those episodes she wasn't actually in them, she was doing this.
Yeah,
says Chris.
But again, why turning off the safeties in the holodeck is even an option is beyond me.
She brings up a good point to Janeway that's almost like it makes sense to say well, I was testing the Delta Flyers microfissure thing. If the safeties had been on, I wouldn't have actually learned that it was bad. Where would the proof be that there was still a problem with the flyer if it wasn't actually going to show you it was deadly?
Except,
well, I think it would it would be able to tell you. It
would spit out a report and said you're dead now.
Well, we've seen that before. There was that episode where Tom was testing some kind of novel propulsion system on a shuttle in a simulation, and it blew up, which means it just froze the program or ended the program, and he was just there, and it was like, you died.
Yeah, well, they weren't testing will the ship blow up, which is a pretty obvious flaw in the ship. They were testing whether in these microfissures, bits of nebula will get in or not.
Well, yeah, but I feel like you could still have it simulate that, but then when it would actually murder you, it just stops. Like, there's no real good reason to let your simulator kill you. Especially, even if you, let's say that maybe, yeah, there's some kind of weird thing with the science where, like, you have to switch it off for this. Okay, fine. You shouldn't be able to switch it off in the video games, though. You know, like, oh, switch off the safety protocols in my skydiving game. No.
Nah.
Override. No. Fuck you. No.
You should at least have, like, a higher, like, a second opinion. Like, someone else, like the captain level or, like, commander level, give the thumbs up and said, yes, this is what we're agreeing to. Yeah,
if for some reason you need to, that I cannot think of, it should be a multi-person thing, like blowing... Well, then again, only one person needed to blow up Voyager, unlike past ships, so... Voyager...
And she's the most trigger-happy person on board.
The Intrepid class is just a free-for-all of madness.
Mm-hmm. What if you trick an enemy who's boarded your ship into going into the holodeck and letting them think it's still part of the ship, and then using that to kill him?
Oh, yeah, I guess Picard probably switched off the safety protocols in First Contact when he shot that Borg to death.
Yeah, I think he did.
They would have had to.
But still, what?
Yeah, I just think it's weird that anybody can deactivate the fucking safety controls.
A little too easy.
Well,
it's
she's
funny.
the chief engineer. It makes sense that she could. I don't know who else could.
It's funny. I may have even brought this up on the show once ages back, but years ago I was reading the New Frontier novel series of Star Trek books, and there is like a tertiary character in one of them who dies playing a video game on the holodeck with safeties off.
Whoops.
It's funny too, because it was written by Peter David, who also writes comics, and it was a very thinly veiled, I think, Avengers program. So I think she got smooshed by Thor's hammer.
Oh, that's a good way to go. If you're gonna go on the holodeck, eaten by a whale.
God. Bad enough we're gonna be talking transporter accidents. You gotta bring up my other great fear.
I'm so excited.
Thank you so much.
Yay. I was also wanted to bring up, like Roxanne Dawson, when you give her a meaty role, she is very good. And I know she specifically brought this idea to the producers over dinner one day, saying, I want to explore Torres, like, having a darker side. And she specifically wanted to bring up this concept of self-harm and what does that mean in a Star Trek setting, and they brought in the holodeck, which is a good place to put it, because you can you can just turn the safeties off for reasons.
Yeah.
And tying it back to her past and the Maquis and learning that all of her friends are dead was a good touch that I was not expecting to ever come back again.
Yeah, and it's great because it's a completely reasonable thing. You know, like, oh, hey, you know all those people you were hoping you'd maybe see one day again? Yeah. Killed by some random enemy you've never heard of. I also appreciated that they didn't show any, like, Jem'Hadar or anything. Because they were just told, oh yeah, the Dominion, they killed everyone. But in theory, they probably don't have a pile of files about them.
Especially not since they've been so far away for so long.
Yeah, I like that.
Like the Voyager wouldn't know.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, like I enjoyed that when she was fighting someone in the holodeck, it was Cardassians specifically, because those were her enemies, you know?
Oh, I liked that too, but that's just because I love seeing Cardassians.
I know, I was actually a little bit disappointed that we didn't get any Gul Dukat.
Oh, that would be excellent.
But yeah, that was funny too. It was like, she took out one very quickly. Well, of course, Cardassian isn't a match for even a half Klingon. And then there was another, like, okay, see, that almost makes it fair. I mean, two's still not enough. But yeah, like I said, in some ways it still falls into a lot of old tropes and traps of 90s television, but I think they definitely did a better job with this than some of their other attempts.
Yeah, they were definitely very conscious that they were doing an episode about mental health.
Yeah.
And though the ending is very wave it away, everything's okay again, we still don't need a counselor, fuck that.
Yeah, we will never discuss this again, she's fine.
Yeah, like, give them credit for, like, making an episode about this and seeing, like, what the effects are, and Dawson, like, doing a great job.
Yeah. That, like I said, the scene with Chakotay, super uncomfortable.
I can imagine, because we don't get to see Chakotay stumbling upon this holodeck program.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that there's a little bit of his what the actual fuck Torres in that whole scene of when he walked in and first saw it. What would his response have been? Just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Torres is a monster, but also she's my friend and I have to help her, but I'm really upset.
Well, I think he probably right away, to an extent, realized why it existed, but was just like, I mean, she clearly didn't want to see it again. She even said she only ran it for 47 seconds or something?
Yeah, and that was enough for her to be like, wait a minute, why am I not traumatized?
Yeah, so, a rare shouty moment from him, but I don't know, maybe the shock was necessary to her system to kick her out of it, I don't know. Do appreciate, though, that we do see the two ships' counselors in this one, Neelix and Chakotay.
Both doing a terrible job.
Well, I think Neelix was doing the best he could with the information he had.
Pancakes.
Yeah.
Heal all wounds.
Did he even really know that she was coming to him in a kind of I need a buddy kind of a way, or did he just want to be nice to her?
I feel like that's just Neelix autopilot.
Yeah, I mean, she's there, it's late. She says he's the kind of guy that, she says she's doing fine. And even if he knows something's up, he's gonna be like, I'm not gonna force the issue. We're gonna take it slow. We're gonna do our thing.
Maybe coffee wasn't just coffee.
I mean, what's interesting, though, is that, if anyone were to understand, losing everybody you cared about, it would be Neelix. Literally everyone he's ever cared about has, either gone away like Cass or just been obliterated by a
disease.
A WMD. Yeah.
Best thing is, he doesn't know what's wrong. Maybe I feel like if she'd opened up to him, he would have been a great person to talk to about it. He maybe knows something's off, but what?
Yeah. And it looked like she was very much considering it and very much like, I'm going to go to Neelix. He's offered in the past to be my punching bag.
Yeah.
And I'll go to him as somebody who's, a sympathetic ear and see what comes of it. And you can kind of see in her decision, no, I'm not ready to talk about it kind of a thing.
Yeah, I also think she wasn't expecting to find him there.
You think?
Yeah, I feel because it's pretty late. I think she was hoping just to be in there alone to get some pancakes, maybe. Well, no, the pancakes seem to be a later idea. Maybe she was just going for coffee or something. But yeah, I'd have to rewatch the scene, but I wouldn't be surprised if she wasn't necessarily expecting to run into anyone. Sidebar, because I completely fucking forgot. Neelix had a scene with one in the last episode that was pretty cute.
What was it?
Where one was like, they're kind of freaked out by me. He's like, people thought, look at me, I'm so funny looking. It's like, were they afraid of you? And he was like, no, but, they were still surprised. He's fun. But yeah, you're right. If she'd opened up, he would have been a good person for it.
Yeah. It's I also realized, we don't actually see a ton of Torres Chakotay scenes. So when Chakotay goes to her and is talking to her about stuff, and she said, I was expecting the doctor to come in. And he says, no, it's me. I want to talk with you because we don't have a lot of screen time together, do we?
I had a similar thought. It was like, oh yeah, because I feel like in the first season, they put them together semi-frequently. Because obviously, both still not sure about this whole Starfleet thing, and I feel like they were maybe trying to make them a couple once or twice, and that was a terrible idea.
Well, yeah, because wasn't she secretly in love with him? Wasn't that?
I feel like that was a thing once, briefly, and they were like,
an alien
guys.
misread it and gave her a pretend Chakotay to make out with, and she was I don't actually want this.
But yeah, I feel like in recent seasons they've had fewer scenes with them together, which is too bad. And again, seeing them together like this reminded, it's like, oh yeah, they used to talk a lot more. She's too busy with Tom now to hang with her friends.
Yeah, we have that Tom. We have that her and Tom scene. Though this episode is mostly distracted by building himself a toy.
Yeah.
But the scene where he actually tells Torres I can tell something's up with you, and I'm your boyfriend. Do you want to talk about it? And she says, "Fucking not even a little bit, Tom." And he's like, "Well, I tried. Back to the car."
That's the thing with this episode. It should have just been about her issue. every time they cut back to this bullshit space race, I was like, I do not fucking care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah,
This is distracting from what should be the emotional core of the episode. This is dumb. I hate it.
Like, and it made Tom look like a bad boyfriend that he just doesn't notice any of this.
Yeah, like, I would have liked a better scene with him trying, even if he still failed, trying to get more out of her. And the idea of building the ship, the space race, all that could have been interesting on its own, or at least with a different second plot. Like, this was a terrible combination. Because the whole let's go get the probe thing is inherently supposed to be kind of like fun and exciting and but it's like, you're juxtaposing this against some really dark shit, and this does not work.
It makes it not great when they try to smush together, like, tonally, like, opposing, like, A and B plots.
Yeah.
And they're always doing it, like, always.
But this is one of those really bad examples.
Oh, no, it's pretty egregious. Yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah, like, I could never tell how dangerous this mission, this little go into the atmosphere of the planet was going to be, because B'Elanna's, like, looking to go and hurt herself in the atmosphere, and everyone else is just, like, built, like, having fun in the garage.
Yeah.
Trying to put wings on this thing. Put like, what did Tom try to build on it?
A spoiler?
Oh, yeah, those extra, I forget what he called them, but some kind of wing. Which, like, Tom, you already had an aerodynamic design. You've now fucked that up.
Do you need aerodynamic designs in space?
Well, it's a shuttle, though, so in theory it's going to go into atmosphere sometimes.
Enough. Yeah, fair enough.
I thought one thing I did think was interesting is that it's 7 suggests changing the hull material.
Yeah.
And like, B'Elanna's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then later, it's the hull that breaches. So,
well, see, what's interesting, though,
if 7 didn't have the best idea.
I don't know if they took her idea, though, because I feel like they said the Malon were using, I'm pretty sure, the metal she had suggested. And that, so it's unclear if they actually did use the one she suggested in the final design or not.
Right.
But it also may have had less to do with the metal and more the actual structure for some, because they had to rush some stuff, you know.
Oh, that's true. The rush job was probably an element. Now, those Malon died in there, right?
Oh, yeah, and we laughed about it. They're having trouble climbing out.
I know, and they treat it like it's a joke.
It's like, wow.
I mean, the Malon are assholes.
Are they better than the Kazon?
Well, I mean, better in what sense? Like, more efficient and competent? Yes. Knowing
their history, I understand why the Kazon are the way they are.
Aha.
The Malon are just Captain Planet villains. They hate the environment.
I'm glad they found a new dumping ground for their waste.
Well, remember, though, it seemed to be that one guy was using the Void or whatever. These guys normally go somewhere else. That first batch, though, were really stupid. The ones that chased the probe into the planet directly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in the intro I said that was Vrelk, but no, that was not. I forgot there was actually a first ship that was just like, fuck it, let's go! And boom. But yeah. Like, I feel like you could have worked even the Delta Flyer aspect in better, really, just how showing... Like, they did kind of try to use to show how little she cares, but again, the stuff with it was just too tonally different. Because again, everyone else was... If you had better juxtapose, like, their sort of, like, exuberance to her not exuberance in a different way somehow. But it was just, it felt incidental.
You know what I didn't really understand was why exactly is this probe this important? Because they send it off to go probe, and it's some new thing, new probe technology that they're using or something that I only read about in a book. And I expected them to just go let it self-destruct in something. But they need it so bad to get it back. It's a probe. You lose these things all the fucking time.
Yeah, like...
Like, kind of their job, isn't it, to fire it off and never get it back?
Like, yeah, I don't know if it really, like you said, if it really is, like, if there's something you don't want falling into anyone else's hands, then...
Destroy it.
Blow it up.
Yeah.
Like, even if they'd, like, just thrown in a line about, like, shit, something happened and the self-destruct isn't working.
The science lab, my mobile emitter is in there.
But yeah, like, dang it, something went wrong, it's not accepting the destruct code or something. then at least you could kind of justify, like that would have been good. Like, better explanation as to why it was so damn important to get this idiot thing back.
Did we already talk about the reappearance of Kirk's
not yet, but I meant to bring it up.
Skydiving
Bring it up,
outfit?
Jake.
Yeah, so in the opening scene when B'Elanna's doing skydiving, she's wearing a costume that we haven't actually seen before, but we have, sort of, because it was from a deleted scene in Generations where Kirk was skydiving.
And it is actually they just took that one and modified it to fit her.
Yeah, I can't imagine built another costume and made it look exactly like that one, considering no one has seen that one before.
Yeah, well, I was wondering, there's always an off chance they could have thrown it out or something, but they still had it.
Nice.
And
good for them.
And they got it to fit Dawson.
Yeah, because I looked it up, because oh wow, I'm pretty sure that's what Shatner's looked like. And so I looked it up, and it's like, oh, that is Shatner's, in fact.
Yeah, I
Probably
do like
wasn't
the
too
look
hard
of it.
to make it fit her after he had it on, to be fair. If it was during film times. He was a little paunchier back then.
Oh, yeah, no, she's, But you were going to say, Ames?
What?
You were saying something.
Oh, I
sorry,
liked
Ames,
it.
I didn't.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was a nice bit of not continuity, like Jake said.
Yeah, and I think that it's got all these shiny square panels which are distinct and they look cool. It looks like a future-y thing, but also like what it's meant for is it's meant to keep you from bursting into flames when you enter an atmosphere when you're orbital skydiving.
Yeah, it's like how there's tile on the underside of the space shuttle for that.
Oh, cool.
I kind of feel like Lower Decks should take note, because I feel like this is how you do fan service that isn't totally wanky jerking yourself off fan service. You know what I mean? Because it feels like if you're a big fucking nerd and oh god, that's the spacesuit that they used you didn't get to see in the deleted scenes, then that's much better. I don't know, I just think.
Yeah, no, before this.
Note.
Well, this is probably before even DVDs were out with special features, so you'd had to have seen some sort of on TV making of, or you had to have that Kirk in orbital skydiving gear action figure.
Oh, that's
exist?
right. Those exist.
Yeah.
It
Holy
does.
Yeah, we
shit.
have one. Chris
That's funny.
gave it to me. I have one.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I saw
Look at
one
you.
in Kamikaze, I think, one day.
Look at you.
But yeah, because they'd already planned and made the toys before they decided to cut the scene, so they're like, oh, we're still going to sell them. We made them.
Yeah. But yeah, if this were a lower decks reference, they wouldn't just show the costume. They'd be like, oh, is that the orbital skydiving maneuvering costume that Kirk wore? And they'd be like, yeah, Captain Kirk, he's our favorite. He's from the original series. And they'd underline it several times.
Didn't they actually do, because again, I haven't seen it, but I feel like I saw in the trailer for the new season, didn't they actually do an orbital skydiving thing? Or am I making that up? I feel like I remember seeing someone have a parachute and smack into a wall.
I don't remember.
Sounds like something that might have happened.
I feel like it was based more on the Kelvin orbital skydiving than the Generations one, though.
Exactly. That's the one more people know.
Yeah, because it was actually in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we don't even really see it here, because she gets cut off before she can open her chute. I did like that the program sort of held her up for a second so she could step down.
Oh yeah, that was a kind of cool effect.
I was wondering what was going to happen, because I was like, fuck, if you cut the program right in the middle of a skydive, I was thinking you know how in X-Men Nightcrawler, when he bamfs, if he bamfs while he's falling, he's still going to land at the same velocity he was falling.
He keeps his momentum.
Well, here's the thing, though.
So I kind of wondered if it was going to be like that.
I don't think she could actually have much momentum. I think because the most she could fall is whatever the height of the
Oh yeah, that's
holodeck
true. A couple
is.
10 feet or something.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a fan blowing from under her.
Yeah, but even
It's like that
if
indoor
that was the
skydiving.
case, if there was a fan blowing up from under her and you turn the fan off, she would still only actually fall a few
Yeah, the
feet.
momentum is definitely mostly simulated.
Yeah, it's just, it's like VR. There's just clouds rushing past you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's the thing, I guess, even with the safeties off,
Ooh, I hurt my knee.
yeah, you
Owie.
realistically only can fall so far.
Yeah, but I think with turning the safeties off, you're more worried about actually getting shot or actually getting
or something
stabbed
exploding.
Yeah.
yeah.
How does B'Elanna have so much holodeck time when we established earlier that Chakotay's been saving up for weeks and he's got 3 hours?
Well, remember, he'd been saving up during a period where they weren't going to have access to power reserves, so they may have It may have
Oh.
taken
Maybe the
longer.
rationing isn't as strict.
Even though Tom's in there all the time playing Dr. Chaotica.
Yes, maybe Tom donated some of his, but no, he didn't.
Tom still has holodeck time saved up from when he was like doing that betting ring in Sandrines.
You notice she makes Vorik give him hers. Give her
Good.
his. Because he's not using it anyway, because he's a Vulcan and they're
Because
boring.
he's still in love with her.
No.
Because he's also a creep.
No, he isn't.
No, I love Vorik. I don't care if he's a creep. I am what I am. Can't help it, Ames.
I'm utterly disgusted.
Anything else on this?
Oh, in the Delta Flyer, I just made the silliest comment that Tom's chair loves swiveling. Tom just fucking adored swiveling all the fucking time.
I didn't notice that. That's
It
funny.
was like constantly just playing in the chair. It was quite cute.
I wasn't keen on that angle they kept using during the descent. The
Oh yeah,
camera
you commented
right
on it.
in the front, looking back
Yeah.
towards the.
It's like they were filming on a
cockpit.
dash cam.
Yeah, it did feel like that.
Well, and I don't know if they used a weird lens, but it almost gave it like fisheye crazy vibes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a choice, a slightly weird one. I don't know. It just gave it a weird effect that I wasn't keen on.
Yeah, it seemed strange, considering normally the angles they use are just realistic-looking angles.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they were taking advantage of the fact that this was, for them, a very unique cockpit design. Like, let's really take advantage of it, but it was just like, this is weird, and I don't like it. And also, again, I can appreciate Tom's desire for tactility, but he has created a ship no one else can pilot.
Very on purpose, because it's his toy.
I hope it's like Mario sounds when you push the buttons. Do, do, do. Boing, boing.
He paints all the missiles to look like shells.
That'd be amazing.
That or bullet
ridiculous.
bills.
Yes.
Oh,
my
yeah.
god, bullet bills. That's so funny. But of course, he wouldn't even know what Mario is.
Excuse me? He's an expert on the 20th century. He has a whole program that is just a 1980s bedroom with a Nintendo. You gotta blow into the cartridge to make it work.
Once a week, he watches that Mario movie.
Oh god.
He makes Balana watch with him, and that's why she's actually depressed.
That's why most of us are depressed.
I can't find the natural segue, so here it is. In Drone, which we discussed a couple minutes ago,
Oh no.
wow, it's our first transporter accident in a little while. So we
True.
wanted to talk about all the times we've entirely ruined Chris's day by having horrible transporter accidents. Because there've been a good number of them.
There's only one I find genuinely upsetting.
Oh, but it's the
TMP?
first one we talk about.
Yes.
Mm.
So, quick clarification. I assume we don't include Mirror Mirror in this?
I do.
That's
okay.
that's a transporter.
That was brought about by a transporter.
Okay. There. All right then. Cool. But the
Does
first
that make
one,
a
of
difference
course,
for you, or?
No, I just wasn't sure if we'd talk about it. The first one we see is Double Kirk, right?
Yeah, the enemy within.
Mm-hmm.
Double Kirk, Double Dog.
Yeah, I think technically the dog came first, didn't it?
Yes, true. I don't
Such
remember
a cute
what
little Triceratops.
exactly the explanation was there. I know the atmosphere was weird. Doubled up Kirk somehow.
Yeah,
I don't think they
something
got
was
too
weird
deep
about
into
that
it.
specific instance, and I thought, for the first time we saw a transporter accident in the show, you're like, oh yeah, these things, they're fucking terrifying. There are many things that can go wrong.
They are an existential nightmare. Yeah, I also feel like, especially TOS was way less concerned about trying to explain the science as much. There's like, the atmosphere's funky.
Yeah,
and this
there's
happened
a dog.
somehow.
Dog did it.
There we go.
I don't know. Is there much science behind some of these? Like the other, later on, what was the rationality in Mirror Mirror? Same thing. The dog was back.
Atmospheric conditions again, actually.
Yeah.
Atmospheric, and that's actually, I think that's what causes double Riker, even.
Yep.
Atmospheres are bad for transporters.
Yeah, I think with Riker it showed half of the beam getting reflected back and half of it making it through.
Yeah. But somehow both got a whole Riker. Doesn't make a ton of sense. And they were the same guy as opposed to, split Kirk, where it was like Wimpy
yeah.
Kirk and Grumpy Kirk.
Yeah, like I understand the oh no, it created two Kirks because of all the stuff that's happening. The why they've been split in this way is very silly.
Yeah, and their whole thing was we just want to do evil Kirk and good Kirk. We don't we're not super concerned about it making scientific sense. We just want to have this analysis of the human condition. We want to basically do what if you could split Jekyll and Hyde.
They did.
Whereas the Riker thing was more of a just what happens if you find out you've got a transporter clone that is you.
What is identity? Which one is Riker? Both? Oh shit. Quick, send one to the Cardassian mines.
Yes, then, mirror, mirror, causing an interdimensional breach.
Yep. Classic.
And kicking off everyone's favorite alternate universe.
Yeah. Yep. If that were the only instance of seeing the mirror universe, I'd be all about it.
Yeah.
But then it is emphatically not. And they
Okay. Let's be fair. One trip, I love all of them, but I feel like you would tolerate one trip to DS9 Mirror Universe just so Intendant Kira could exist.
I would certainly allow it.
But just see her once, not 8 times or
I don't know.
It was.
I think it would depend on the placement, because I think they did it way too early in Deep Space Nine.
Fair.
And I think they do it like the fucking 3rd episode of Discovery or some shit.
Well, the whole first season of Discovery, spoiler alert, was like a mirror universe thing.
It turned out, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it was a cop-out like anything, but...
I will say, though, and again, I'm a bad example because I love most of the Mirror Universe. But
even Mirror Burial? Oh my!
Mirror Burial was so much more fun than regular Burial.
Well, that's a really damning with faint praise.
But it just proved that, this guy actually can act. Burial's just a pill. It will be interesting to see what everyone thinks of the Enterprise one. The Enterprise one is fucking great.
Yeah.
By Chris's definition of great.
Yes, it is.
So it's up there with Time's Arrow Part 1.
It is a beautiful camp fest.
They should have just called it Time Zero Part 3 for how good it was. Yeah, okay. Well, other transporter events I can think of. We have our
Are there
old
any more
friend,
in TOS?
Not that I could think of, unless you're counting the motion picture.
No, that's the movies.
Okay.
Anything
I don't
in
think TAS had
Yeah, I
any,
don't remember anything in TAS.
If there are, I don't remember them either.
I've suppressed most of that show, so.
For the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I know recently they came up with... There's a new director's cut of the motion picture that was up on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
That apparently they made the transporter accident scene more disgusting.
Yeah.
So that they could up the rating. Because otherwise, I think it was still PG?
Fair
or
enough.
something, or G even, maybe? I don't remember. But they wanted to like, gross it up a little bit more so that it would get a higher rating.
Yeah, well, I guess they cut Shatner's reaction because it was...
For the best. It was too stupid.
Badly delivered.
Bad line. Bad Shatner. I watched the two. I watched the two side by side. Because of course I did. The differences are actually subtle. Like the visual effects don't change at all. It looks still exactly the same. But if in the first one there was kind of like the transporter noise happening, and then that one being goes rah, rah, and that's pretty much it. Like the kind of noise that you can't really even call like a scream or a shout because it's just a noise that comes out of it. They added a little bit more like grumbling noise between the two rahs that the director described as basically make it sound like she's trying to scream but doesn't have a mouth.
Like that story.
Like that Harlan Ellison story.
Yeah.
So the difference is very subtle. I don't even think I would call it much grosser in terms of the noise.
Yeah, I think the main improvement from what they've said, because I haven't seen the new version, is just cutting the Shatner reaction.
Yeah, because it was too silly.
Yeah.
And either way, I fucking Jesus, that scene. Oh, I hate that scene.
I love
it. It really just makes because like, oh, this is why Doc's afraid of these things.
Yeah. Well, who
this
wouldn't be?
This is horrible. Yeah.
I think I thought of one from TAS. if you'd call
Oh
it this.
no!
Did you?
If you'd call, I don't know if you'd call it a transporter accident. It's from our favorite
Oh
TAS
no!
episode.
Oh no! It's this one.
There was the fucking Wile E. Coyote scene where they beam down and they're standing at the edge of a cliff, except they're just off the edge of the cliff, and then they hang in midair for a second and then fall in.
I forgot about that.
Bam did something silly.
See, that's the thing. It's not an accident because Bem did that on purpose.
Well, true.
The real
because
accident,
he's a jerk.
the real accident there was the thing not killing Bem.
True.
If anyone deserved to die in a horrific transporter accident, it's Bem.
Yes, agreed.
God, I hate Bem.
As you should.
Yeah, so
And
we
then,
touched
yeah.
upon second chances a little bit because it's
Yep.
it's a very similar to The Enemy Within of just creating a double person.
A double Mint Riker.
Oh, man, I'd love to double my pleasure and my fun with that. Just kidding.
See, my
not kidding.
least favorite transporter accident that I'm appalled by and I hate very, very much is fucking Rascals.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
even think
right.
of that.
That's
Forgot that was
one.
a transporter hiccup.
That's a goofy episode.
Oh, it's so annoying. And the science makes no sense.
Oh, whatsoever.
Like, oh no, you've reverted back to children because the transporter took away your post-pubescent something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so innocuous and makes no sense. And then you're stuck with horrible child actors for the rest of the episode.
Yeah. God. Ugh.
So that one, oh, don't
And then
like that one.
there's no. There was Ensign Rowe got caught in 2 transporter accidents,
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's that one.
and
Rascals.
her and Geordi turned to ghosts.
Yeah, in the next phase.
Oh, right.
Well, was
Yeah.
that transporter, or was that just because they were close to the Romulan cloaking device when it like did something?
I think it's transporter because they don't beam back to wherever they're trying to beam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. They both got beamed into a
I think
weird
it was kind of
place.
Both
Combination.
Yeah,
simultaneously.
it was like a confluence of events that led
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good episode. Like that was pretty cool. They revisit that kind of idea in a Lower Decks episode. Of course they do. I think that one's Much Ado About Boimler, but I don't none of the Lower Decks episodes resonate with me, or episode titles resonate with me. I think it's that one, which is a decent enough conceit.
I don't remember if this was an accident or on purpose, but there's the episode where like Barclay is seeing things in the transporter
Realm of
beam,
Fear.
and
Yeah.
it turns out they're people in like suspension somehow.
Yeah, that one's weird.
Yeah.
I still don't know what I think about that one because it's just bizarre.
I honestly forgot about it until you got me thinking for this week. Like, oh, what have we seen? Because the obvious ones are Double Kirk, Double Riker, TMP,
Freaking Rascals.
Mirror. Rascals I somehow forgot about completely.
Really? Oh, I can't.
I remembered Barclay and his transporter worms, but I forgot about Rascals.
Transporter
Wow.
worm sounds disgusting.
Okay, here's the next question. Would you count relics?
Oh, is
Well,
that the one where
well-
Scotty shows up?
Well, it's
That's
because
one with
Scotty's
Scotty's
friend
in the buffer.
died in the transporter buffer.
He did that on purpose, though.
Well, he put himself in on purpose. I guess you could say that his friend, who was also in the buffer, that died because the buffer.
That's a sort of...
Yeah, so
Failed.
I say that
Degraded.
counts.
they
Yeah, the
couldn't
guy
get his
dying
thing
because
back.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but those are all the TNGs I could think of. Because they did a lot with the transporter in TNG. They did more
Yeah.
than I thought they did. 'Cause
Yeah.
You think transporter accident, you're like, oh yeah, that thing's always acting up in the original series. But no, TNG dipped into that well quite a lot.
Well, they did have twice as much show.
That's true.
Wasn't
DS9
there
happening?
wasn't the episode with the Phantom of the Opera also? I mean, I guess that was more
Yep.
of a murder. Didn't he murder?
Oh, yeah, he did
one
by
of
fucking
Kira's
with the
friends?
transporter.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's in The Darkness and the Light. Kira's
Yeah.
resistance friend gets
Oh.
really horribly murdered. and
Yeah,
you just
that
watch
one,
the,
that's
the
almost as bad as the TMP one.
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
effect.
make noise, so it didn't
No.
affect Chris as much. But then the body,
But
like,
doesn't
They
she
show
come out
you,
as like
like,
a
the-
smoking skeleton or something?
yeah, it was gross.
It was really
I for-
bad. Had like hair and shit on it.
I somehow forgot all about that.
I'll put a picture of it on the
It's
Tumblr.
fucking nasty.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
it
sure
was
it
pretty
is.
bad.
It like turned inside out and exploded.
Exploded.
Oh yeah, do we count Galaxy Quest transporter accident?
Of course we do.
Thank you,
It's the
thank you,
best
Jake.
Star Trek movie ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's user error, but it's still an accident.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's another one. Would you count Our Man Bashir? Or is that kind of like its own thing? Because I'll put it in the Tumblr post. Everyone should be reading
Transporter was
along with our Tumblr
involved,
post.
you know?
I mean, they
Oh, right.
had...
They're transporting out and what gets stuck in the holodeck, right? Is that one?
Yeah.
There was something
They had-
wrong, and they had to temporarily store them in the holodeck's matrix or something.
Yeah, and I mean, it wouldn't have happened even if it wasn't caused. The solution was brought up because something was up with a transporter, so let's go with sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good. And that's a really fun episode.
It is.
That's a good use of a transporter accident, because a lot of them are either to be fucking horrifying, just as a way to die, or
Yeah.
a way to have a really fun existential crisis.
Yes.
But this one was to bring about, like, a new kind of adventure that we weren't expecting before.
Yep. That was Eddington, too. Him and Rom cooked that up together.
Yeah.
They did. Good on Eddington. Still love him.
Yep. He was really disappointed when they got put into Julian's program and not Les Miserables.
Did you think of something, Jake?
Well, I mean, another obvious one. So we have people split in two, but we also have two people merged into one in Tuvix.
We do.
Yep,
That's a really
yep.
good example. Because that's an entirely new kind of existential crisis to have.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Good episode, too.
Really
It was a good
yeah.
episode.
Great to think about that episode.
Yep.
There's also past tense when we go back to the Bell riots.
Oh yeah, yep. That was a
Oh, yeah,
transporter.
that was.
Too
Yeah.
many-
That's a
Too many chronotrons.
Yeah. Yep. Time particles got in my soup.
Yep.
yum.
Delicious.
Bananas got in my pancakes.
Also delicious.
Yeah, and other than Drone, which we saw today and just discussed, and I liked Drone all off a lot. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it was cute.
There's a mention, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Wayun 5, I believe, dies by transporter accident.
Well, isn't it implied that Damar
It very much is.
murdered him?
Oh, right. We don't actually... This is something that happens off screen that we hear
Yeah,
about or
it's
something,
just
right?
mentioned when a new Wayun pops up and says, I'm the
Right.
new Wayun because the last one died in a transporter accident.
While
Dot.
directly at Damar.
Yeah,
I forgot
I'm
about
pretty
that.
sure that was implied to be a murder, which I guess if you're going to count the darkness and the light, you got to count that one too then, because they're both murders.
Mordors, most foul.
We will have two that I can think of in Enterprise.
Do we see them? Or,
Yes.
oh, fun.
One of them is kind of unpleasant. The other is actually kind of like the episode really hinges around it. Not hinges, it is based on it, for lack of a better term. We actually meet the inventor of the transporter.
Oh, that's cool. Do you know
Yeah.
the names of the episodes, or shall I just find them online and put them in our Tumblr post links below?
I unfortunately do not know off the top of my head. Again, if you haven't seen the first thing it might even be in the pilot or in like the second episode. It's a very minor thing. It's not a big spoiler. But the second one, like I said, it kind of is the point of the episode.
Yeah, the whole
so
episode is the guy.
revolves around. That's what I wanted. So beware reading up on that one if you haven't seen it and don't want spoilers.
I don't care about spoilers at this point, so.
No, I meant the audience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Speaking of, if you care about spoilers, there's another Lower Decks episode. Massive spoiler. They split someone in two like they did on other episodes.
Oh, God, yeah, I read about
Lower
that.
Decks,
Of course
Lower
they
Decks treads that ground again.
did.
There is a great joke at the end of it, though, so
Fair enough.
I allow it.
Also, if we're talking out of franchise,
French fries.
Our French fries?
Are we?
We're out of French fries.
when they, because we mentioned this earlier, when they put President Scroob's head on the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Why did
In
anybody tell you my
Spaceballs.
ass was so big?
Yeah, in Spaceballs. Remember they
Oh,
they
I
transport.
don't remember this.
They
Yeah, they
beam him
transport-
in the spoiler on the joke. The joke is that they literally beamed him from the next room over.
But yeah, they put his head on backwards.
Ah, okay. I don't
Um,
remember this scene.
Yeah, as
One
Jake
day,
said,
one day we'll cover Spaceballs.
he looks down and goes, "How come nobody told me my ass was so big?" Oh, it's a good movie.
It's such a good movie.
It's an okay movie.
Surrounded
It's
by
the-
assholes, by
it's
which I mean
the-
Jake.
The best Star Wars movie, Jake means.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would
fair
agree with that, but I do
Rogue
love
One's
it.
pretty good.
I was about to say, Rogue One's pretty good.
It's probably better than at least half of the Star Wars movies.
Wow, that's more. I'd say way more than that. At least 3/4. Oh yeah, so definitely keep an eye because all of these transporter accidents are going to be up on our Tumblr, sshbpodcast.com. Tumblr's not letting me link to things the same way anymore, which is kind of frustrating.
Tumblr's Garbo.
Well, you want to make us
Greta
a blog
Garbo?
website, Jake?
No, because no one will find it then. You got to be in the social networking scene, but I wish there was a better alternative to Tumblr.
What's Medium like?
Also Garbo.
Yeah, so check out all of our other blog posts over on the Tumblr until Jake makes us a new entire social Tumblr sharing thing. There'll be other stuff on there. We talked about ships recently. We just wrapped up season 4. Check out our season wrap blog post there. Good stuff. All kinds of good stuff all over that Tumblr. Next week, however, we have more Voyager to talk about.
Ooh.
2 more episodes next week. They're going to be In the Flesh and Once Upon a Time.
Uh-oh.
So look forward to that next week. I'm sure they're both episodes of Voyager. TBD.
I hear Once Upon a Time and I immediately thought of that awful Thoughts Becoming Reality episode of DS9.
Thoughts Becoming Reality. Oh, Fascination?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not
with
it.
Rip Van Winkle or
That's not
whatever it
Fascination.
was.
I forget what it's called.
But yeah, and
Some awful thing.
Cisco's baseball hero.
When Wishes Were Horses.
Yeah,
That
there we
fucking
go.
Thing.
I'm worried it's going to be something akin to that.
Join us next week. Find out if Chris finds it akin to that. Huzzah. Until next week, if you want to catch up on any of other episodes, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Apple and Google and all the other ones. We're on all the podcast things. Use your favorite. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, which we'll post these things to every so often. And we're also just having a nice day in real life. The end. This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
This has been Jake.
And this is akin to Chris.
Chris, step into this transporter.
Do I
No,
have
fuck off!
George Lucas neck?
What? What does
Look
that
at myself
even
in the
mean?
camera. Like, you know what it means.
Yeah.
Poor Jake.
No, do not click on that. Damn it!
What's happening now?
Well, I despise that.
Oh, that's cute.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
She clicked on the other link Jake sent.
Jake, stop sending links.
I'm glad somebody finally got to see it. It's fucking horrible.
I think it's funny.
It's funny. It's hilarious.
Okay, we should either share this or cut this.
No, don't
No,
share
no,
it.
not
Oh, this is
sharing
getting
it.
cut.
No,
I am not
cut
sharing
it.
that.